Hey everybody, Robbie Straczynski here for CardPlayerLifestyle.com. We are at the World Series of Poker 2017, and the man next to me, you all know him, the tournament director of the World Series, long time now, Jack Effel. Nice to see you again, Jack. How you doing?
Nice to see you.
Likewise.
Thanks
Thank you
for
so
having
much.
me.
Thank you for agreeing to this interview. I'm sure everyone here is going to enjoy it, and I personally am really going to enjoy this opportunity, so thank you. Okay, so you've been working with Caesars Entertainment in your current capacity for over 10 years, but for your association with the company goes back a full decade beyond that. You were the poker room manager in the Horseshoe in Tunica, if I understand correctly, and before that you were the swing shift manager in Bossier City, Louisiana. So that's a long time. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your career path, your current position, and working your way up the corporate ladder until you got here to Las Vegas.
So it was kind of an interesting journey for me. I got into poker, in my teens.
Well, underage?
No.
Oh.
Everybody has to be exposed to poker
Sure.
somewhere in their life. A lot of people playing with their family members, with their friends.
Sure.
I was in I got to go to the pool hall and I found the poker games. And from the poker games, I said, you know what, this is something I might like to do later on in life, right?
Cool.
So when I turned 21, I went to Memphis area, Tunica. I went to work. Got my first job working for the Boyd Corporation. I dealt and started supervising like a few months later. And then less than a year into that, they opened up the poker room in Bossier City, Louisiana at the Horseshoe. And I got offered a supervisory position there where I worked the entire time that the room was open. It was about 2 years from, we started training people in late 97. We opened up early 98. We were there about 2 years and then they closed the room in 2000.
Oh.
At the time, they were closing poker rooms all over the country because at that point, they had not realized that poker brought other business to the casino.
Of course.
So that was a
butts
big
in the
thing.
seats, of course.
Exactly. They're like, oh, there's some areas over there. Let's put slot machines.
Yep.
That would be great.
Short-sightedness,
they
right.
made more money. They didn't realize that if they lose the poker game, they lose the wife that plays the slot machine.
That's right.
So they want
Or
to be
the
able to have
husband,
both-
or the husband.
That's
Okay.
exactly right, of course. And so that was a big thing back then. So
Sure.
when the room closed, I kind of reevaluated my profession or my career path in terms of in poker. I said, well, I'm not sure if there's any future in this. And so I decided to go back to school and get a few degrees. While I was doing that, the poker boom happened.
Right.
And when the poker boom happened, there opened up some opportunities. And so the World Series of Poker circuit was created in 2005.
Right.
And they looked within the company to find people who knew about poker. And just so happened, I was lucky enough to be chosen along with a couple of other guys at the time to go out and oversee the circuit events.
It was like a right place, right time kind of thing?
Right place, right time.
Nice.
Ken Lambert, Johnny Grooms, and we kind of went out and started running the circuit events and found our way here at the World Series of Poker just a few months later. That was 2005, the first year the World Series moved to the Rio. And then, from there, we continued on the trail. They eventually kind of went their own way, and it was just kind of me that was left here.
Yeah.
And I assumed a position at corporate Harrah's, Harrah's Corporate.
At the time, right.
As Director of Poker Operations, and I held that position for a while.
An awesome title. I love that.
It was a cool title. And,
Wouldn't you want to be the Director of Poker Operations of anything? Wouldn't that sounds awesome.
Well, it was interesting because we were doing a lot of cool things within the company, standardizing procedures and all that stuff. But it was short-lived, and we realized that my time spent on the World Series of Poker was more valuable. And then I started working on, WSOP full-time, 2006, 2007. And then pretty much ever since. This is kind of what I've done.
Wow.
But through the years, of course, we've expanded with our international events.
Sure, I saw you in Georgia, right?
Yeah, I've been in a lot of places. So we've
not
opened,
the state of Georgia, the country.
Tbilisi, right?
Yeah,
Tbilisi.
exactly.
And so we've opened up our licensing to casinos outside of not only Las Vegas but the U.S. and so expanding into Europe and
Awesome. The world is your oyster.
That's exactly right. So there is a lot of cool stuff that the World Series of Poker is doing nowadays. There's plenty of stuff to keep me busy.
Yes.
And in addition to this amazing event that we get to put on here at the Rio every year for 7 weeks, we get to do a lot of cool stuff with the brand.
That's very cool.
And so, that's kind of how we've ended up in this place.
Right.
We could go on and talk about this for a long time.
Well, I mean, you mentioned you're incredibly busy. It seems like you're putting in 20-hour days, and it's like 6-7 weeks long. How do you prepare for this every single year? It's not a typical sort of thing.
So I'm gonna kind of cover this one a couple of different ways.
Okay.
So first of all, the WSOP's only been open for 2 weeks. So
okay, right. It's still early. It's still early June.
This is day 30 in a row for me right now.
Whoa.
So this is 30 in a row for me.
Sure.
My average day is about 12 hours.
Okay.
But I've had one as short as
more like 20.
9 or 10. But I've had several that are 15.
Jeez.
And if you count the time that I spend at home, it probably is 20.
Sure.
But here's the truth of the matter. The truth of the matter is that I'm available every second that this tournament's going on, even if I'm sleeping, trying to rest enough so I can come back and do it again.
For sure.
It's a massive operation, but it's not just me. I mean, there's amazing amount of talent that is here assisting over about 2,000 temporary folks, all of the ancillary areas,
and
cage, accounting.
You sit atop that pyramid?
With respect to the operations,
okay.
But I can't, like I said, I don't like to take credit myself for anything. Myself, Ty Stewart, we have Seth and Gregory.
Sure.
And we have my right hand, Tyler Pipel, operations manager. I mean, there's a great group of people. I might sit and run meetings and talk about what everybody is going to do.
Sure.
But it's really the team that goes out there and makes all this happen.
And he's humble too, right?
And
for sure.
I do like to not really assert myself, but kind of place myself in everyone else's shoes so I can understand how their areas work, so I can help them help me. Right?
I completely get that. Makes sense.
When you have a massive cage operation with over 200 employees and $250 million going through it over the course of the summer, you want to make sure that that's on point.
100%.
We have a fantastic cage director, Kimberly Koss, who is the director of cage at Caesar's Palace as well as Harrah's and now the Rio. She does an amazing job. Our accounting team, these are some of the smartest people I've ever met in my entire life.
I love it. And this may seem like boring details to some of you, but it's so important. Like if you think at the end of the movie, when you roll the credits, there are people who are working night and day to make this, pull this operation off. And I'm really happy you're mentioning them, Jack.
There are. We have 100 different floor managers, assistants, so on and so forth, that are working in the areas that are, you see them pushing carts and breaking tables and doing color ups and making
you don't
decisions.
just push a button. It doesn't happen on its own.
It doesn't happen on its own. And, I've got all my head guys like, Dennis Jones and Kim Smith and Sean Baldwin and all the guys that are out working in their areas. And you see Charlie and Alan Ray and Jessica Hudson and all the faces that you just always see at the World Series of Poker. They're out there working long days.
Big thumbs up to all of you.
Working
great
hard,
job.
doing a great job. And so, really this is an amazing team.
Would you say that there are more and less stressful times during the summer?
Stress is an interesting thing, right? And how you deal with stress is really your own personal thing, right?
Of course.
For me, I try not to let the stress me out. I kind of let the stress drive me. It's kind of like the running. So when you start to run, right, and you know this, right, you run a little bit and you start to push yourself a little bit more and you run. So the more stress, the more you have to focus, the harder you have to work, and all of that. But going back to managing the World Series of Poker, here's what everyone should realize about this particular event. First of all, it's a very special event, right? It's been around since 1970.
The most special event in poker.
It is very, very, very special, and we not only believe that, but we are. We treat it that way, okay? And we believe that. Our time here, first of all, it's an honor to be able to be part of it. But second of all, that we're just shepherds. We're shepherds. We are a group of people that were able to come along at a point in time get a hold of an event that is extremely successful, the number one biggest brand in poker, where everyone is winning the WSOP bracelets, the gold medals, the Olympic medals of poker, and we get to be part of this. So we are just carrying it past where we found it and getting it prepared for the next group that will come along after us.
Taking it to the next level and expanding it. Yeah, sure.
Nearly 50 years of tradition here at the World Series of Poker. So it's an honor for us to be part of it. And I say that for myself, for Ty Stewart, and the rest of the group.
Sure. You talk about being shepherds, so let's talk about the flock for a second.
We can talk about the flock.
In numerous interviews, I've done my research here that you've given over the years, you say we talk to players, we listen to players, and I really think that's wonderful. That's what, any tournament director, someone who's running poker operations needs to do. So I'm questioning though, so how do you do that? Do you just sort of take, oh, you look like a recreational player I'd never seen before in the hallways. You sort of take them aside and say, are you happy? Like, Ed Koch used to say in the mayor of New York, how am I doing? How am I doing? Do you sort of do that thing? Or do you have like focus groups or send out surveys? Like, how do you talk to players and listen to them?
I don't have to ask them. They tell me. So that's the short answer.
That means he's accessible.
So
okay.
It's the short answer, but it's the true answer. The big ideas guy, Ty Stewart, he's the big idea guy behind World Series of Poker, and lovely that I get to work with him, and he has created so many big things for World Series of Poker, and from a branding and marketing perspective, he's absolutely brilliant. And us working together on trying to give players what they actually want. It's tough, right? Because you have a large group, and you have a small group of constituents that are like the hardcore mixed game players, PLO, high stakes.
Of course,
all
it's
that.
Not easy to please everybody.
And then you have the general population that represents probably 85 to 90% of everyone else.
Of course.
And believe it or not, the core group of guys, they want a lot different experience than what
it makes sense.
Want,
it makes sense,
So the guys that are playing, 30 or 40 events, they're expecting some different things than the guys who come for their bucket list to play their Colossus or Millionaire Maker
or the
Monster
Giants.
Stack, or
Don't
the
forget
Giant,
the
or the main event, right?
Sure.
Or their chance to get to be on ESPN Live.
Sure.
I mean, there's some cool stuff that happens here at the World Series.
Certainly.
I think trying to understand what works, what doesn't work. We try a lot of things. We definitely throw a lot of things at the wall to see what sticks.
Certainly.
You can't take every suggestion.
Right.
And you're not going to always pick all the right suggestions
Right.
either.
And it is different from year to year. Changes are indeed made, for sure.
But I keep folders. I write notes down. I take suggestions when people stop and say, hey, everything's going right, but you know what? I got to complain.
That's for sure.
So that
happens constructive criticism, not a complaint.
No, they like to say complain.
We try to spin things positively here.
And I am definitely one that believes that if you don't strive, you can't be perfect, but if you don't strive for perfection, you'll never get close.
100%.
Right? Okay, so we're all on the same page.
Yep.
World Series of Poker is a continuous improvement project. It's an event for the people, and we're going to do everything we can to continue to make it better for the people. Right?
I love it.
And so that's our motto and how we treat our business. And no voice is really, I'm not going to say that it goes unheard, because it's hard to be accessible to everyone.
Of course.
But obviously,
you clearly are doing the best you can.
We definitely listen when we can listen, when people are presenting their suggestions.
I understand. Very good. One of your industry colleagues, a friend of mine as well, Matt Savage, he introduced this.
Oh, wait a minute, this interview's over.
I'm sorry, no. He's a good guy. Everyone likes Matt as well. He ran this social experiment.
Yes.
I'm sure you're aware of that in Southern California. It was thought to be quite successful. No hoodies, no sunglasses, no headphones, no mobile devices. Do you foresee maybe in coming years at the World Series, maybe some sort of a social experiment? I won the social experiment bracelet.
I'm glad that he did it, and I'm glad that others are trying some cool stuff that I may not be as daring to try. I kind of treat the World Series of Poker as not necessarily an experiment, but that this is the place where you play the events that are proven or the games that are tested and kind of prove to be successful. Like our risk or gamble might be 365 buy-in.
Okay, the giant, right,
Giant,
exactly.
right? Like that could be our experiment, but
Sure.
we have enough market data and analysis
Certainly.
and history and empirical data to support an event like that at the World Series of Poker.
Got
so
it.
it's very calculated,
Certainly,
right?
I understand.
But something where I'm going to take all of players' creature comforts away or something like that, unless I feel that it's something that I need to implement to change a particular behavior, kind of like we did with the clock rule, like something like that. That's where everything else that we have tried hasn't worked to fix an inherent problem.
Right.
Then you have to kind of step in and do stuff.
Certainly.
And I applaud Matt for taking the approach to do that. But it's like anything else. At this moment, I don't have any desire to do that. If he's already done that experience, there's no reason for me to do it.
I understand that.
And I also think that we're in 2017, right?
Certainly.
Everybody has a cell phone. People are on computers. They like to play online and live at the same time.
Like
while
to
they're,
take notes on Poker
playing
Notes Live, right?
WSOP.com. They take
Sure, of
notes,
course.
They analyze their own play. They're smarter.
Of course.
Everybody that is born today should be smarter than everyone that was born yesterday. This is the theory of evolution, right?
Sure. So I guess you're saying if you want to see a tournament at the World Series without headphones and hoodies and stuff, just look at the Super Seniors, right?
Hey, but by the way, that's a very special tournament too.
It is.
You know?
It is. I can't wait till I'm 65 years old so I get to play. Although
about
those guys will
making
be wearing
65?
hoodies by then when I'm 65. What about playing poker? Do you ever get the chance? You have a home game or something like that?
I don't get to play poker much at all.
You're
anymore.
kidding.
No, I don't.
Wow.
Matt plays a lot of poker. So he has more time than I do. Must have more time.
Okay.
I'm just kidding, actually. But no, my golf game's terrible. My poker game's probably terrible. That's because I probably don't have time to play. But
Okay.
anyway, I love the game. I've loved it ever since the first time I was ever around at 15, 16 years old. It's an interesting thing because my father passed away when I was 14, and I didn't know that he loved cards. And he loved cards so much that he actually ran poker games in the military during World War II.
That's cool. That sounds like a whole other story.
Yeah, that's a whole other story.
Certainly.
But he actually ran poker games during World War II over in Japan.
Wow.
And so I guess it's kind of in my blood. My mother's father was also ran a Friday night poker game, and so
you're following in the family tradition.
There
in a
is,
way.
but it's interesting. I didn't learn about that stuff until a little bit later in life because obviously I was pretty young when they passed. But
Got it.
Anyway. But from my standpoint, I love the game. I've loved the game ever since I was first exposed to it. I love action, right?
Yeah.
But
Who doesn't?
like everyone else, they start out in this game. They're like, "Hey, I'm going to be a poker player."
So you did too originally?
You know what? I think everybody starts out and says, "Hey,
Yeah.
I want to be a poker player."
Even Jack Effel.
But you know what? I'm going to tell you. But I'm also a good Jewish boy.
There you go.
I worked. My father told me, "You got to work. You got to work. You got to work."
Sure.
So while I was trying to play poker and learn out about playing poker, I had a job.
Yeah,
So
there you go.
So if I lost
The
all my
Jewish
money,
guys as well, that's what we gotta do.
If I lost all my money, then in 2 weeks I got my paycheck.
There
right?
you go.
I could go back and play again.
That's the way to do
so
it.
that was it. So I always had the job. So then
Gotcha.
as you play poker and you think about this, you know what? Maybe I'll work in poker. Ooh, let's deal cards.
That's what I did. Certainly.
Right.
I just play recreational. That's it. Well, I did a little bit more digging. I looked at your LinkedIn profile, and correct me if I'm wrong on the exactitude here. You are enrolled or were enrolled at Oregon State University and are taking French?
So
Is that
interesting.
real?
Yeah. So I couldn't learn Hebrew. I tried. So that didn't work out for me. I did well in my English classes, obviously.
Certainly.
But
Got that down south accent a little bit from Louisiana.
Texas.
Texas. Sorry.
Texas.
Okay.
That's okay. That's all right. I lived in some of those places.
Okay.
You get a pass for that.
I was close.
But no. So I've always wanted to learn French.
No
Well, at least
kidding.
in the last 6 or 7 years, I've wanted to learn French. Spent a lot of time in France. My favorite European country.
Cool.
Love the French people.
Certainly.
Love the culture. Love the food.
Oui, oui.
Love everything about France. If I could, if I ever get rich one day, maybe I will have a place in the south of France. I'll spend 2 or 3 months a year there, like
Got it.
the upper class of the Frenchman or
You
something.
can turn thy nose up.
That's right. And I can sip my little espresso.
There you go.
No, I do love French culture.
That's so
cool.
cool.
I took a French class or a French course at Oregon State University in hopes of being able to establish some language skills in French. And I can tell you I'm not there yet.
Okay, well, we'll keep working on the savoir-faire, I believe is the right
savoir-faire.
Okay, so the question does have to be asked, and I think this is our last question here. At some point each year, the 6 weeks are up, all right? The 7 weeks are up, especially now that the main event will actually conclude this summer. It's not the November 9 or anything. What does Jack Effel do come July 23rd when all of the action is over? Do you just sleep for a week or something?
It's interesting that you said July 23rd because my wife and I are going to Thessalonica. We're going
in Greece. Very cool.
We are going
Wow.
to Greece on vacation.
That's close to my neck of the woods in Israel,
So
actually.
yeah, and
That's
that's
awesome.
on my bucket list too, which I'm bad for not going.
I'll show
yet.
you around.
You know, I need to go.
I'll show you all the underground poker scene.
Oh, there you go. I heard it's good.
It's good.
So no,
Saloniki, wow.
Yeah, so we're going to go to Greece.
Very
and
cool.
We're going to spend a few days there,
Uh-huh.
and then we're going to France.
France, of course,
Spend
sure.
3 days in France.
Certainly.
Maybe go to Bordeaux and
Wow.
drink some wine.
On
and
the
stuff like
Champs-Élysées.
that.
That's
Go to
a-
the Champs-Élysées.
Very
Paris,
cool.
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds
would be great.
wonderful.
No,
it's
so
good. It's good
so-
to just like decompress, I'm sure, after all this time.
and it's interesting because usually when the tournament's over, I usually go straight back into planning for the next one. I am taking a vacation this year, which I am
That's
looking
good.
forward to.
That's
but
good.
For right now, I'm here working and every day going to be present for all the
For many, many
festivities.
days in a row. But it's good to
Exactly
have
right.
those vacations because when you get that, you recharge and you come back with renewed energies for next year.
I'm
So
excited about it.
That's awesome.
I really am. So, and hey, while we have everyone,
Yep.
let's not forget, World Series of Poker. It's not just here in Las Vegas.
Of course.
We have World Series of Poker Europe coming up
In October, right?
November. Razvedov, Czech Republic.
Sure.
King's Casino. 11 bracelet events.
and of course the circuit it's running all year round.
And yeah, they have the circuits running year round,
Sure.
all that stuff. So, go to WSOP.com.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure to check out all the cool stuff we have. We might be close to your area at
Ooh.
some point in time.
Fun. That could be fun.
So,
well, I can never get enough WSOP, and I can never get enough Jack Effel, but he's got other responsibilities. So I want to thank you very much again, Jack Effel, the tournament director of the World Series of Poker and the vice president of international poker operations at Caesars Entertainment, for joining me. You can follow Jack on Twitter at WSOPTD, and you can follow me on Twitter at CardPlayerLife. I'm Robbie Straczynski for Card Player Lifestyle from the World Series of Poker 2017. Thanks for joining us.
au revoir.
Be good.
Merci.